issues with fonts. You do not own any fonts, most likely. If you work for Best Buy, maybe Best Buy actually purchased a font for $100,000. And then you can own it, and you can distribute it however you like. Chances are that they didn't. Because who wants to pay $100,000 for a font, right? I don't. Comic Sans is fine. So who owns the font? The reason that is important is because when you include fonts like that, you're distributing it. You're including, whenever you link to a file, anyone can access it, they can download it, they can use it. Right? When we did the source here, you just download that file, and that file, you've just distributed your font blot to everyone's computer. So you're not allowed to give away Microsoft Office. You're not allowed to give away fonts. So who owns the font? You don't, but there are services for it. And I'm going to cover, I'm not going to actually cover the services. I'm going to cover 2 free services. Then the other issue is the flicker of unstyled content. Different browsers handle not having the font slightly differently. Some browsers, and I don't know which ones are which, one browser actually doesn't load the text until the font file is loaded, and then all the text appears. And so you have a flicker of no content. And then other ones will actually load the default font, and when the font comes in, they'll style the font, the text. And so you have a flicker of unstyled content. My major reason, these are kind of bad, but my major reason is file size. How many characters does Arial have, or New Times Roman? I have no clue, but it has that snowman on it, that sad face, that character that I didn't know what it was. File sizes can be huge. And then you need to might need to include bold and italic on top of that, and bold italic. And font services is just sitting out there for no apparent reason and should be deleted from that font deck. That means nothing. Okay, so Google Fonts has hundreds of free open source fonts that are optimized for the web. And you can go through them and you can say, I want a fat font that's tall, that's italic, and that kind of looks like handwriting. And you're like, OK. And it'll find you 4 of them or something. And it's really easy to do. You just include a link to their API, and then you use the CSS. You just use the font name in your CSS. It's all well and good. I have no clue what is in their API and what kind of statistics they're recording on me. So I don't know if I care. In these decks, this text right up here is actually, I believe, a font. Let me just check.
Trebuchet.
It is. Trebuchet MS. Someone's much more of a designer than I am, or looked at the.
Oh no, I just saw it in the inspector earlier.
Oh, okay. So some reason, font family Lato and sans serif, it got overwritten because I overwrote it. So let's there. So went to get the font, and now it's Lato. So how did I include that? In my header? God, I hope it's here. No, in this header, rather. Here's my link. And let's open this wide so you can see it. It says fonts, Google API, CSS, family Lato. And then it says all of the sizes. I'm downloading italic and regular. This is normal, this is bold, and this is light. So I don't know what it's actually sending me. I guess I could look in my resources? No, in network, rather. Wow. Total WTF. I mean, this is my, I don't even know what it's telling me. It's like, what did it get 24 times? And why did it get it? But it's tiny little sizes. So my thought is that this is actually probably reading something, yeah?
It actually sends you,
yeah, it could do
Link sends you a CSS file that has the font face rules for each of those different fonts.
Okay. So headers, where are my responses? Request header. Response is right here. This request has no available data. Cookies, bunch of cookies, timing, 148 milliseconds. A tenth of a second to get it. I don't really care, but so all I did was include one file, right? That's the only time I really mentioned Google, because that picture of Google is that you saw where it said Google Fonts, that's actually on my server. That's a picture. So it does like 27 requests. I'm sure some of them are tracking whatever I'm doing. I don't know what it does. This picture is on my server. This is not there. Every other page is live, like here. I can interact with their page. You saw I can move it. This is just a picture because Google doesn't let you embed the page. So here I embedded the page, and this is really cool, and this is what I really wanted to cover. But I'm going to open it in a new window. So this is Font Squirrel Font Face Generator. And this is what you're going to be using if you actually do include fonts. Because you need the TTF, the EOT, the SVG, the WAF, or whatever. And you also want it to be the smallest file size possible. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first step you do is add fonts. And I'm not going to show you how to add a font because you add a font, and then it'll tell you, oh, this font's not, you're not legally allowed to do this font if it's one of those big font houses that actually has a little script in it and they know which fonts aren't allowed. But if you go to like freefonts.com and pull a free font, you can just put that on it's a free font. So you click expert. Then you choose what you want. If you want to support the iPhone 1, you can do that. You don't have to. It allows you to do all these things. Match the height of other fonts. So let's say you're using Trebuchet Verdana as a default. If this doesn't show up and you want it to be the same size, you use that, whatever. What I really wanted to show you was custom subsetting. So one thing that graphic designers really like are ampersands. And they like an ampersand of a particular font, right? Comic Sans is fine by me, so I don't really care what my ampersand looks like, but they really, really do. So we want a single character. And look, it is going to create a font with only one character. So why would I want to do this? Because they want to include their ampersand whenever the ampersand is there. And I don't know what color I'm going to have. I don't know what font size I'm going to have. So I definitely can't import an image. But do I want to include 10,000 Arial characters or whatever from a font? No. I only am using that one character. So why should I be importing? I always say huge, but file sizes aren't huge like this. But you know what I mean. You don't want to include a huge file size. You just want to include this one character because that's all you're going to use. And because we have this never used, no one ever uses this, but the char set, you can actually say, use this font family just for this character. That's it. Like that's the cool. So if you want to include an ampersand, and it has to be a specific font, the only way to do this is this way. You probably have been including images, and then you're like, oh shoot, we changed to a different shade of blue, and now I have to, you don't have to worry. You can actually include fonts. But be very wary before you include 4 font sizes that you don't legally own to send to a mobile device, because I don't really want 10,000 characters. So another example I want to give you is I have a font that I use on my site called Standardista, right? And so here, because I type Standardista here, these are the only characters in the word because I reuse the letter A and the letter D, right? So it's just going to make me a 7-character, which, since in my blog, the header says Standardista, that's the only thing I would need that font for, right? Don't need to include a full character set. Okay. I probably should have made the S capital, and then it would have done both. Okay. So let's stay in our deck. Any questions about Font Squirrel? Okay, the last thing about Font Squirrel, because I forgot to mention this, is when you hit yes, the fonts I'm uploading are legally eligible for web embedding. That has to do with the legal ownership of it. And you create your font, it actually gives you the CSS to include. So that whole thing with that EOT, blah, 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 blah. That question mark pound sign thing was added later. Before it was a question mark smiley face, and then they realized that didn't work for Android 2.1 or something like that. So they keep that updated, and you don't have to keep thinking about it. They do it for you.